Hi guys, welcome everyone to the second episode of the 4M Hostel Diaries. This is episode number #2, and today's topic is self-love. I'm Sanchit.
And I'm Jagrit, and we know that we are very late and जो हमारे 200-300 करोड़ followers हैं वो हमारा बहुत इंतजार कर रहे थे. So thank you all for being very patient and let's roll.
Hmm.
So, as you know, today's episode is self-love, and it is something that neither of us know anything about or have practiced in our lives as such. And this was suggested by one of you. So, why don't we start with what this man knows about self-love?
Okay, so thank you for the question. But the thing with self-love is that I do not know what self-love means, what self-love is, what is the history, or whatever. I have absolutely zero idea about self-love. And I suppose that is what would make this conversation all the more interesting, as you pointed out correctly. So, self love, just going into the deep semantics of the two words, self as in you, and love as in loving yourself, caring for yourself, and looking after yourself. So, that would be the basic and the rudimentary definition of self love. To take care of yourself, to make sure that when you do not have an external force to love you, take care of you, and provide you warmth, in those circumstances, there is at the end still you. You know, after everyone is taken away, there's still you. You can still take care of yourself and still provide that warmth and still love yourself. That would be self love for me.
Hmm. Now, our audience must know one thing. This man has read at least a billion self-help books out there. And that reveals that it's a very complicated yet a very simple topic, right? Self-love in general, because it's subjective, and that helps us in understanding what it is. And because it's subjective, it makes it all the more complicated to figure out what self-love
Yeah,
is. So
absolutely.
recently there have been a lot of incidents, there has been a lot of pressure on everybody, including the two of us, to be more productive, achieve more things, win more things, and essentially push ourselves into the capitalistic world, as I like to call it. And he doesn't. So in this situation, what matters a lot is how we cope with it. So I have a theory about self-love, which I'll be talking about eventually. But since Sanchit has pointed out that it's also self-care and just caring for yourself and looking out for yourself. So tell us, how do you do that? Like, how do you look after yourself?
All right. Well, actually, the problem actually starts from that point only. I do not know how to take care of myself and look after myself, because here's the thing: I look after my friends and my family and all the loved ones. You know that
Yeah.
I would make sure that everything is perfect, and I'll go for miles just to get that thing done, because you folks are important to me. But it seems that when it comes to me, like my own being, I'm not very appreciative of my efforts. I really do not give myself enough break, or I just do not love myself enough, which should really not be the case, because as I pointed out, at the end, when everyone gets taken away, it's just you. It's
Yeah.
just you who will face everything. So um yeah, so I really don't do much of self love for myself, but there are a few things that I have been doing, which I have inculcated in my daily habits recently. So I am a fitness freak, as you would want to call it. Not really, but I do like to work out and go out and have fun, just go to the gym with headphones on, like metal blaring through my headphones, and I can lift weight, hit PRs left, right, and center. That is something that I really have fun with. I really look forward to it every day. So I have like, if I have a very tiring day, I have things to do, deadlines to achieve, and at the end, when the clock strikes 6, I take my pre-workout, I take my glucose, and then I go to the gym.
Yeah.
So some people would think that going to the gym and exerting pressure in a body, that would not necessarily be self-love, but self-love could really be about anything.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so I do that. I also have started the habit of journaling. So after I wake up in the morning, um, so right after I wake up, I would not touch my phone. I would keep the phone away. I would brew a hot cup of coffee,
Mhm.
put it on my bed, and then I'll start journaling. I'll literally write down anything. I'll do an intellectual analysis of my what my previous day looked like why was this person saying this, or why did this happen, so on and so forth. I would go deep into the dungeons of my psyche just to understand ki ho kya raha hai zindagi mein. And it would it's I usually give 1 hour for that, but it goes on for more than 1 hour because 3, 4, 5 pages. So yeah, that's the thing that I have come up with so far. Those two.
Interesting. So, beyond the complicated gym lingo, uh, what else do you do? I mean, journaling and all is there, of course. So, I'll tell about me, then I'll put this question to you. So,
Hmm.
for me, self care doesn't need to be a complicated process per se, right? Um, and For me, self care could just be taking a long walk, and I love doing that, especially now that winter is here. It's something that I really enjoy doing on this lonely stretch of land, or lonely stretch of road. I just go for a walk and then come back because I'm threatened to be killed. But apart from that, yes, I do like walking a lot. So
Hmm.
I think this has a common point that somewhere deep down, taking care of your body, exploring, new venues of working out or taking a walk, in my case, that is a form of self-care, I suppose.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, just last night we were having a conversation, and you mentioned that you went for a 4 kilometer walk.
Yeah.
You had no plan in your head. You just went because you felt like it. And I'm pretty sure that would have felt good, to get out of the monotony of life, not to
Mhm.
be stuck in your room.
Mhm.
It feels good to get out and do that to your body. So yeah, exactly. It's like there's this thing that I heard few months back, that physical activity is self-love, because like eating food and cooking food is self-love, and the idea is that people hate oats. People hate it. Like, they just hate it, and they hate physical activities. So someone pointed out that you just hate that. You just hate that type of oats. You
Yeah.
have not tried variations of that oat. So you can probably do that, and basically oats and physical activities, just try variations of it. I tested this man so much, and I asked him to go to the gym. He does not do that, but he walks a lot. And I don't know that for a fact. He goes for like 4 or 5 kilometers just for the heck of it. And that's self love right there, I think. Yeah.
That, and recently I discovered that as a foodie, although I love eating junk food, I could gorge on 4 burgers at a time. But the other day, my stomach wasn't that good, so I had like a bowl full of salad. That felt good. So I think somewhere taking care of your body is a form of self love, and a lot of people love doing face masks and face pack and all that fruity stuff you put over your face.
Yeah.
A friend's mother recently pointed out, आजकल के बच्चे फ्रूट्स तो खाते नहीं है लेकिन मुंह पे फ्रूट्स वाली क्रीम जरूर लगाते हैं. So I think that is also a form of self love. So um, yeah, I guess people love doing all that, and you find your form of self care, self love, and do it. But it's a more complicated psychological process to understand what self love is, because my personal belief about self love is that uh, so somebody once told me a very beautiful thing, that you can't give out more than what you already have. And somehow what I believe is that I have a lot of love to give to people. As Sanjit also pointed out, that this man would take a bullet for anybody that he cares about, but would he do something like that for himself? He'll probably think twice. That is the same case with me. I pour out a lot, but what do I say for myself? So this complicated understanding of self-love as such is why we are here today, right?
Yeah.
So what is your theory about it from a psychological perspective? And mind you, we are not qualified therapists or psychologists or psychiatrists or anything. So please take our conversation with a pinch of salt. These are just opinions that we like talking about. We're not giving anybody a scientific explanation or diagnosing anybody with anything. Please, for the love of God, don't believe that. Yeah. So
that warning was necessary क्योंकि law school जाने पे they will tell you कि भाई बता दो. If you're not qualified, bata do, because we cannot get sued. We don't have the money.
Tomorrow, if somebody comes up to me and says that I took psychological advice from you and went on another course altogether, please don't do that. I'm not here rendering any form of advice. This is just a conversation from our perspectives. So yeah.
So okay. So what I can gather from, like, see, I have lived 22 years on this planet, okay, and nothing at this point in my life makes sense to me. Absolutely nothing makes sense, and part of the reason is that we were never taught the things that we needed to know in this society. Anyway, so there is this, in fact, there is this book that I have right now. Hang on. So there is this book that I'm reading. It's called Flow by Mihail Csikszentmihalyi, right? And he mentioned this very nice thing that I would like everyone to know. He said that life is actually quite simple. It's not like it's extremely difficult to understand what is going on. Like, understanding something is easy.
Yeah.
So intellectual recognition of that thing, that self-love is important, that is easy. To implement it, that is difficult. So that just got to my attention कि oh shit यार कि हाँ मुझे ये मालूम है कि मुझे आगे बढ़ने के लिए मुझे suffer करना चाहिए. I have to have a schedule, this and that. To know that you have to do that, that's easy. To actually do it for yourself, that is where the problem arises. And honestly, after having realized the problem, I can really say just one thing, which again, a lot of people have commented upon and a lot of people have said before: experience. Whatever you do, once you recognize the problem, once you recognize anything and you want to go further, you experience things. What is good for you? Do you like it? Do you like to go for a run? Do you like to eat food? Do you like to cook? Do you like to read? There are just so many things you could do. And that is the thing, that there's a barrier between recognizing what you want and getting it really getting it done. And you have to cross it. You really have to cross that barrier to reach to the point where you can say कि हाँ मैं भी journal करती हूँ, मैं भी भाग लेता हूँ, मैं भी ये करता हूँ, and that is self love for us. So, and I think that crossing that barrier is the difficult part, because इतने सारी चीजें करने के लिए, मतलब इंस्टाग्राम भी है, यूट्यूब भी, आपको हर बंदा कुछ ना कुछ बता रहा है. Some influencer would say I read 30 pages before I go to sleep. Some other influencer goes that I run 15 kilometers, and there are just so many things. And then there is this completely different connotation of time. Time नहीं है, ये नहीं है, वो नहीं है, हमारे पास रिसोर्स कुछ. I just feel कि ये सारी ना हम लोग अपने ऐसे बना दिया है कि we don't have this, we don't have that. So that crossing that barrier is difficult, but we have to cross it. We have to care for ourselves. We have to find out what suits us, what we can do, and what is making us happy at the end of the day. So experience, guys. I mean, I cannot mention this enough. You have to experience. Like for example, today, right before this podcast, I went for a run. I haven't been on a run in a considerable amount of time. I used to be that man who would run for 4 kilometers without breaking a sweat, but that was Sanchit in 2020. I went for a 2.5 kilometer and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. मैंने ये जरूर सोचा था कि मुझसे होगा नहीं होगा, वो मेरे दिमाग में था, but I went, and that was an experience. So yeah, that is the thing. Just experience anything. Read a book, drink coffee, journal, do whatever that is good for you, not for others. Yeah.
Drawing from that experience point, what I personally believe is why we're not able to bridge that barrier between love and self-love is that we refuse to acknowledge certain things. We refuse to acknowledge our emotions. We think that the so-called negative emotions are bad. We should not feel sad. We should not feel angry. We should not feel jealous. But frankly, these are all parts of us, and to completely disregard them and to not acknowledge them in our lives is problematic. What it will do is either you'll completely suppress it or you'll try to be like, nahi, nahi, I'm a bigger person than this. ठीक है, आप हो गए, you may be for, I don't know, तुमने निर्वाण achieve कर लिया होगा, but there are certain emotions that you need to be in tune with, acknowledge them, and then work on them. Just because you have a problematic emotion and then you just suppress it and you just think कि हाँ यार ये तो बुरा emotion है, मैं पता नहीं, I'm just not a nice person to feel jealous of XYZ, then it's not going to work out. If you want to actually love yourself, you have to acknowledge all aspects of you, all emotions of you. And that is how you bridge that gap. And as Sanchit said, all you can do is experience that. हर अच्छी चीज को, हर बुरी चीज को experience करे बिना, you'll never, be in touch with your inner self, your own emotions. And it's easier said than done. मुझसे भी नहीं होता.
Yeah,
Sometimes I just feel कि यार गुस्सा आ रहा है तो गलत है, मैं गलत हो गया कि मुझे गुस्सा आ रहा है, बट सिचुएशन कभी ऐसी हो सकती है, सर्कमस्टेंस ऐसे हो सकते हैं, कभी कभी नहीं भी हो सकते. लाइक for the last 3 days, whenever Sanchit called up, he said, "तू इतना low क्यों sound कर रहा है?" I don't know. I didn't have a reason. I was just low and I didn't feel like talking. And he only suggested, "Chalo, let's record an episode. Let's see." And today I feel better. Last night I felt better when I spoke to him. So I had to acknowledge that I'm feeling sad. There might have not been a reason, but karna padega to bridge the gap from one point to another. And that is
absolutely.
what comes through experience, as he pointed out. So yeah,
Yeah,
that is
that
a
is
pretty deep psychological thing to say.
just to point to just build up on what you said. When you said no, it's easier said than done. That intellectual acknowledgement of what is the problem is one thing.
Yeah.
This is the problem, but solving it is another thing.
Hmm.
And you know, when he says that experience emotions, I have 2 points here. Number one, I have been having conversations with my close friends about a situation, and so basically what I've realized over time is two things: that I have never really felt emotions. I have always experienced the highs in my life. मूड कोर्ट जीत गए, अमेजिंग हाई. रिसर्च पेपर पब्लिश हो गया, अमेजिंग हाई. जिम अच्छी बॉडी बन गई, अमेजिंग हाई. Got into a relationship, amazing high. I always have lived off of highs, but I've never felt the downs. And that was terrible of me. That was not really something that we should do, because as Jagrit pointed out, you have to, and you have to experience it. Because you are a human, you're not a machine. You have to experience the entire broad range of emotions that there are. There is a reason why people get angry. There's a reason why they get frustrated, so on and so forth. So in fact, someone very close to me, in fact, pointed out a few days back that, Sanchit, you have to experience it and you have to feel it. If it's hatred, feel it. If it's guilt, feel it. If it's happiness, feel it. And if it's sadness, feel it. You do not run away from it.
Yeah.
Denial always in the beginning. That's point one. And point two is, there was this thing that I read in The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. Usme he mentioned that do not label yourself. Do not try to label yourself ki I am someone who's always happy, or I am someone who's always cynical, or always pessimistic, optimistic, so on and so forth. It's good to be optimistic in life. It's probably alternatively, conversely, some other good to be pessimistic. I don't know. But essentially, his point was, do not label yourself, because once you label yourself that I'm always happy, whenever something bad happens and it breaches your happiness, your foundation gets shaken up. क्योंकि मैं तो happy था, ये कैसे हो गया ये. So his idea is, do not label yourself, and constantly try to understand who you are without labeling yourself. सब कुछ experience करो, सारे emotion, और कभी लेबल डालने की जरूरत नहीं, क्योंकि तुम अगर एक बार लेबल डाल दोगे ना, तुम उस एक ही कैटेगरी में ना बंद के रह जाओगे कि मैं ये हूँ. और वो हो नहीं सकता, ऑनेस्टली. इतना वाइड रेंज ऑफ दुनिया है आजकल, वो तो हो ही नहीं सकता. So unless you're living under a rock, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Why people say comparison is the thief of joy. Agreed, but also rigidity is the thief of joy. साला हर बंदा यही बोलते रहते हैं, change is the only constant, change is the only constant. Yet we refuse to acknowledge that in our lives कि हाँ, there will be change. I used to be a very impulsive and confrontationalist kid back in school, and now even if I have a genuine problem, I will not talk about it, and that is sometimes unhealthy also, right? And sometimes also healthy because कभी कभी impulse में अगर आप किसी को confront कर दो, then you regret it for the rest of your life. But yeah, so you grow up, and that only happens once you acknowledge those emotions, once you experience different instances. Some people learn it the hard way, some people have a very strong EQ to just understand it in a second and in a very easy manner. So take time to process that. Again, ज्ञान नहीं दे रहा हूँ, experience से बोल रहा हूँ that you need to give it time, and I don't know, it just happens, I guess.
It इवेंचुअली लाइक धीरे धीरे लगता है जब क्या कहते हैं जब गोलियां चलना स्टार्ट होती है ना तो लगता है कि बचेंगे नहीं बट वो धीरे धीरे जस्ट हैव टू क्रॉल वो है नहीं कि रन इफ यू कैन नॉट रन वॉक इफ यू कैन नॉट वॉक क्या कहते हैं क्रॉल इफ यू कैन नॉट क्रॉल जस्ट डू समथिंग जस्ट कीप गोइंग यू हैव टू कीप गोइंग टू बी एबल टू डू दैट एंड आई जस्ट रियलाइज कि सेल्फ लव से हम लोग लाइफ एडवाइस पे एकदम से शिफ्ट करने लगे हैं लेट्स गेट बैक टू सेल्फ लव लेट्स
जुड़े हुए हैं
टॉक
ना यार दोनों चीजें it's the entire process because see self love is not a destination, it's a journey, somebody beautifully pointed out. So yeah, so like होता है ना कि you have to देखो सबसे मुश्किल चीज होती है खुद को with all your flaws and all your qualities accept करना. कभी कभी अपनी ही क्वालिटीज कम लगती हैं, कभी कभी you just feel like you don't deserve the love that you're getting, but you do, trust me, you do. He does, I do, everybody watching this does. And whenever somebody loves you, if they say I love you, if they say that I care about you, unless they're a snake, they do mean it, right? So yeah, just take it. It's very hard for me to accept any person coming up to me and saying that I love you as a friend, as whatever, just I love you. So it does take time for me to acknowledge it, but I've realized that somewhere deep down they do, and I deserve it. So कभी भी अगर ये हेजिटेंस हो ना कि यार सामने वाला सच में बोल रहा है या वो करता है, do they actually care about me, ले लो, just take it, they do. ठीक है, बाद में धोखा मिले वो अलग बात है, for that particular timing ले लो, लपेट लो अच्छे से.
अरे वो फायदा उठाओ, टेक बेनिफिट ऑफ दैट सिचुएशन. मिल रहा है तो रखो ना यार, सबको नहीं मिलता प्यार भैया, बड़ी जालिम दुनिया है आजकल. इफ यू हैव अ फ्रेंड हु केयर्स अबाउट यू, फकिंग लव दैट मैन.
एंड ये तभी आएगा when you accept yourself, and you have to accept, you can accept yourself by being compassionate to yourself. जब तक खुद के लिए सद्भावना नहीं होगी, दया नहीं होगी कि हाँ यार ठीक है, इंसान हूँ, हो गई गलती, तब तक वो चीज नहीं आएगी. So yeah, I think self compassion is an interesting thing, and Sanjit and I have had a lot of conversations about it. What do you think is self compassion, and just let's talk about it.
I cannot differentiate between self-love and self-compassion, but my understanding is self-love is an action, self-compassion is the realization. At least in my understanding, self-love is what you would do in terms of action to take care of yourself, and self-compassion is that realization कि हाँ यार हम भी इंसान है, मेरी भी life है, and what I have done, what I'll do, what I am right now, all of it is completely all right. I'm being true to myself, and I have a life which is completely detached from everyone else's life. Obviously, it's not detached because society is very interconnected now, but it's detached, and I ought to live. And it's too much in this world to ask for happiness. There is no such thing as happiness, honestly, as far as I've seen. But it's too much to ask for happiness. But God damn it, we do deserve happiness. Everyone does. Because as you said, everyone is special. Everyone deserves something. So self-compassion is that point when you're like, मैं हूँ, I deserve it. I deserve to be happy. I deserve to be satisfied. And then you shift your life around that. So self-love would be an action, and self-compassion would probably, according to my understanding, would be, say, a realization, a thought process.
Words to live by.
गलत हो सकता हूँ, ऐसी बात नहीं है, बहुत गलत भी हो सकता हूँ.
गलत ये पूरा पॉडकास्ट हो सकता है, ये जितने भी मिनट का हम बोले ये सब गलत हो सकता है, बिकॉज we don't know shit about life. हम बस बैठे हैं, हमें इंटरनेट मिल रखा है, हमें कैमरा मिल रखा है, यूट्यूब पे चीजें अपलोड करना फ्री है, तो बस बोल रहे हैं,
लगे हुए
लगे हुए हैं. One very
हैं.
important thing for us to acknowledge in order to love ourselves and be compassionate to ourselves is कि अगर ये हमारी लाइफ से मिसिंग होगा, ये वाला एलिमेंट, तो उसके कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस क्या होंगे. पहला कॉन्सिक्वेंस तो जो हम बोल चुके हैं कि you will think that you don't deserve love or deserve the toxic kind of love that you're getting. And another very important consequence is that या तो तुम बहुत ज्यादा प्यार बांटने लग जाओगे क्योंकि तुम्हें you think that you haven't received it, or because you don't love yourself, so you think that loving other people is going to fix it. Or the other alternative to this could be that you start hating other people. You just think कि हाँ सामने वाला हमेशा गलत है, या फिर आपको ट्रस्ट इश्यूज होने लग जाएंगे, या फिर आप ये सोचने लग जाओगे कि यार अगर एक कमरे में 15 लोग हैं और उनमें से 14 बोल रहे हैं एक्स, तो मैं वाई बोल रहा हूँ जस्ट बिकॉज आई एम डिफाइंग their idea or their opinion. I am right because you don't really you're not willing to accept other people's perspectives क्योंकि तुम खुद ही को ही हमेशा put down करते रहते हो. I don't know if any of the things that I said in the last 30 seconds made sense, but yeah, I tried. The essence यही है that trust issues and hatred towards other people is also one of the possible consequences of the lack of self-love. What do you think?
No, fair enough. I suppose so. It's difficult for me to have that kind of understanding of life like Jagir does. तो मुझे exactly like उतना समझ नहीं आया, but I suppose that's true. जब तुम अपने बारे में ढंग से नहीं सोचोगे तो तुम दूसरों का तो क्या ही करोगे. Because when तुम अपने आप को तुमने नीचे इतना गिरा दिया, तो अब हर बंदा तुम्हें तुम हर इंसान को उस नजरों से ही देखोगे, cynical तरीके से, so to say. तो that would make sense. You have to kind of bring yourself up in life. उसके बाद you be humble, have gratitude kind of thing.
तुम्हारे पास वो होगा ही ना देने के लिए. If you don't love yourself, how will you love other people? It's a very difficult journey. है ना. Some people operate in the completely opposite direction. They're like मेरे पास नहीं है तो मैं दूसरों को देगा. I will go the extra mile for that person even if they don't deserve it. But other people are like अगर मैं नहीं deserve करता ये भी नहीं deserve करता, बाहर जाए. So
I think I fall in the first category. I fall in the first category.
same.
Like I cannot love myself, but I will give everything that I have. To ले bro, पैसा भी ले ले, notes भी ले ले. Just have my love. What do you want? Nah, anyway, I'll be that man for sure.
And somehow, I don't know, it's weird, but somehow both of these consequences are very unhealthy. पहले वाले में लोग तुम्हारा फायदा उठाएंगे, दूसरे वाले में लोग तुम्हें भाव ही नहीं देंगे. They'll just, look at you as a person, as a misanthrope in a way. तो मतलब दोनों ही अनहेल्दी हैं. इसलिए पहले अपने आप को अक्नॉलेज करना कि हाँ भैया हम जैसे हैं वैसे हैं और उसी चीज से हमको प्यार है. तो that journey, that is what we're talking about, the gaps that we need to bridge in this situation.
I think that is self-compassion, to accept who you are.
Yeah.
To say that this right here, this body, this mind, all that I've done and all that I'll do, what I was and what I'm capable of, it's me. Take it and it's perfect. नहीं तो कोई बात नहीं, क्योंकि अगर तुमने ले लिया of what I'm offering, good for you, amazing. But if you don't, well, you know what? I accept myself. So I don't need your approval. I don't need you to take care of me. I can take care of myself. So that is where self-compassion would kick in right there.
Because in the end, कोई हो ना हो तुम्हें खुद को संभालना पड़ेगा. There will be times when you probably won't have a friend to to lend a shoulder or a family member to be there for you. Sometimes you just have yourself, and sometimes I think it's also necessary to not rely on other people and find a solution within yourself. Because kabhi I think there was this thing that I read, the only person that you spend 24 hours a day with is yourself. So you know yourself better than anybody. और end में अगर तुम खुद के साथ time spend करोगे, अपने अंदर से solution निकालोगे, so that would be a great thing. And again, this brings us to an interesting discussion that Sanchit and I once had. Do you like your own company? I said yes. I
Yeah.
love going on solo dates. I'll go to a cafe, I'll go for a long walk, I'll just sit in the metro, get off at another station and roam around and come back home. Because I love what goes inside my head. I have theories and I have philosophy, and sometimes it's miserable to be in there. But this man had something else to say, so I don't you share that.
Yeah, so I asked this question to him. Like this just came to me one day. I don't know how, but I asked him if do you like your own company, because I realized I did not like my own company at all. It was a big realization because it was almost as if that I'm living on this planet for 21 years. I am like when someone asks me, Sanchit, who you are, my answer now is I'm a product of experiences. So all what I've amounted to in these 21 years, I do not like myself. I do not want to be alone. Like I'll go somewhere. If I go out anywhere, be it out to have some food or indulge or do anything, I would call this man or call someone else and just talk to them on phone. And even when I'm sitting alone, I'll video call someone. दैट यूज्ड टू हैपन लॉट एंड आई रियलाइज्ड कि मुझे अपनी कंपनी पसंद नहीं है. मैं अपने साथ ही बैठ के ना किताब पढ़ना चाहता हूँ, मैं अपने साथ बैठ के मूवी नहीं देखना चाहता, मैं कुछ भी नहीं करना चाहता अपने साथ बैठ के. एंड दैट वाज अ मैसिव रियलाइजेशन कि यार आई हैव टू स्टार्ट लविंग माई सेल्फ. आई हैव टू स्टार्ट फर्स्ट एक्सेप्टिंग हु आई एम एंड देन स्टार्ट लविंग माई सेल्फ. क्योंकि हर देखो हर बंदा कोई भी कितना भी बोल दे 24 घंटे कोई अवेलेबल नहीं होता.
सही बात
ना वो कोई नहीं रहेगा अवेलेबल. सो वही बात है ना. इट्स जस्ट एट द एंड ऑफ द डे इट्स जस्ट यू. You have to rely on yourself. And from that day on, there was a complete like shift in my perspective about that. And yeah, then it did change. Now I kind of do like my company. I journal, I go out for a run, I work out, I do stuff, I read books, I drink coffee, all the hipster shit that they do. Call it hipster, but I do that. I do it. I love it. It's good. I listen to music. I have started listening to audiobooks. That is really nice. It's very, very interesting, especially when Obama is reading to you. That's pretty dope. So yeah, I'm doing that, and now I love my company, sort of, somewhat. It's not like it is a. It's not a level thing. एक दिन में नहीं होता. Gradually happens, and I don't think this conversation was very long ago, even just a couple of months back, in fact. So yeah, there's a shift, and I realized it. And probably you should ask this question to yourself, if it's not too triggering, of course. Probably ask that.
I think that would be our closing remark. Ask this question to yourself. Do you like your company? If the answer is yes, congratulations. That is a step towards self-love / the realization of self-love. Because as I said, it's a journey, not a destination. So you can't really fully realize or fully love yourself. But if you don't, and the answer is that you don't like your company, try to resonate with why. And, I'm not saying that you have to fix yourself or find a solution to your flaws, but accept them as they are. If you are an impulsive person like I was, acknowledge that you're impulsive. Trust me, automatically, psychologically, आप reset होने लग जाओगे, and you'll subconsciously start working towards that goal. कि हाँ, I'm impulsive, so I need to control my impulses and react in a particular manner. So you have to acknowledge your flaws, and then only it's a step forward. So if you like your company, great. If you don't, it's time to start enjoying it. So my personal suggestion would be go out, have a cup of coffee, switch your phone off, switch your headphones off, just sit there. You want to read a book, you want to draw something on a tissue paper, do that. But just sit with yourself, have a nice cup of coffee or tea or whatever you like to eat, and just internalize this.
Yeah. And this could not be accomplished with people around you or notifications around you at all. Like you have to, in all likelihood, switch off your phone and give yourself like a dopamine detox of sorts. कि कोई बाहर का इसमें नोटिफिकेशन या बाहर का कोई चीज नहीं आ रहा है तुम्हारा, तो सिर्फ तुम हो. It's just you who is thinking. It's you who is getting things in your head, and it's you writing them down. So you kind of have to do that. जब तक external motivation रहेगी Instagram, Facebook, YouTube की, तब तक वो बहुत ही मुश्किल हो जाएगा होना. और फिर it could be anything. It does not have to be go for a cup of tea and write down something. Literally anything. Again, it's about experience. If going out for a cup of tea and Drawing on a napkin helps, which does for me. Absolutely would love to go out for a cup of tea. Good. If not, go for a run. If not, go to the gym. If not, do something. If not, go to a movie. That's all right. तो एक्सपीरियंस कर लो कि तुम्हें जो ठीक लग रहा है वो करो. मुश्किल है कोविड के टाइम पे, कहाँ ही जाओगे, क्या करोगे, लेकिन घर पे भी बहुत चीजें
अब
करने
सब
हैं.
जा रहे हैं.
अब सब जा रहे हैं, अब हो गया कोविड.
But सब जा रहे हैं, but as somebody who is doing this on an online platform, it is our responsibility to say, please stay safe, wear masks and keep sanitizing. Just because we said कि बाहर जा सकते हो doesn't mean that you'll go and spread COVID. Okay. So
Yeah.
with that, we come to the end of this episode. Sincere apologies again for being very late.
As if people care, Jagrit. As if people care.
Well,
Oh, you should listen this. It's actually quite good.
yeah.
So GSM said, ask yourself whether you're happy and you cease to be so.
See, words to live by. This man is a repository of words to live by because he's read 5 million billion gazillion
Hey, I
self-help
am reading psychology. Okay, this is not self-help.
psychology. Anyway,
All right.
thank you for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode. I'm Jagrit.
I'm Sanchit.
Bye bye, and thank you for watching the 4M Hostel Diaries.
Stay safe, have fun. Bye bye.